We are live. Excellent stuff. Hello to everyone joining us now for a chat with Galen Reynolds here. This is actually our first ever Wiggle Facebook Live under lockdown. So this is all very new. So do let me know any feedback if the picture goes wonky or if you can't hear me, that would be great. So yeah, my name's Nasreen, and my guest today is ultra runner Galen Reynolds. I'm going to be looking over there a lot because I've got a laptop set up so I can answer all your questions. So do keep your questions coming in. We do also have a competition running today, so you can win a Montane Minimus stretch ultra jacket. Anyone that leaves a comment or a question below today will go into a draw to win that jacket. It's a pretty awesome prize. Without further ado, we'll go over to Galen. And Galen, can you just tell us first of all sort of what you do, just in case anyone isn't sort of familiar with sort of the ultra running that you've been doing, and just a bit about your running background.
Yeah, of course. So I got into running about 8 years ago now. And it was a reason just to get into it. It was just a reason to stay fit or get into shape. Actually, I was extremely out of shape. And coming from sort of an ice hockey background, which is where I mainly did my exercise, it was a huge change going to running. Obviously, you're doing very short sprints, and then now it's to endurance. And so began slowly, started with a 10K, did a half marathon. This is all on trails. I went to the marathon and then to the ultra distance. And the goal was just to do one 100 miler and then be done with it. And I would sort of retire and find a new calling or new adventure to go after. But I got the bug, and I haven't been able to stop. I find it extremely fascinating and really enjoyable to be out there on the trails, exploring, as well as the races.
Yeah, amazing. And you haven't always been an ultra runner. I'm told that you're originally from Canada, and your original sport was hockey?
Yeah, that's right. Originally from Canada. Moved over here, actually the same time I picked up running, because I came here with my hockey gear. And I Googled around, talked to some local teams, and found that to be able to get to a rink was about an hour drive from where I lived in London, plus all the time changing into your kit. And then ice time is so limited. You get about an hour slot, and there's so many guys on each team that you're actually on the ice for about 18 minutes. So I was like, wow, I'm going to do about 4 hours of commitment for 18 minutes of exercise. And really, I just wanted to get fit again. So I was like, well, running, I can do it anytime I want. Just pop on my shoes and be outdoors, and then I'm training. So that's why I switched over to running. And like I said, it was only supposed to be temporary, but it persisted.
Yeah, there's not a lot of ice hockey over here, I don't think.
I think it's totally different. It's like the shifts in hockey, if you're playing competitively, is about 40 seconds long, and you're sprinting the whole time. It's full out. And then endurance running obviously is the opposite.
So how did you kind of make that step up? Because obviously you're doing like these amazing epic ultra runs now.
Right.
Like how does that kind of happen from just doing it as something to stay fit to ultras?
So it all started when I had a bit of a pie in the sky goal of doing UTMB, which is 100 milers around the Mont Blanc Massif. So everything was in lead up to that. You have to do a bunch of races to be able to even qualify for that race. So when I finally finished that race, which took me about 3 years to do, I was like, that's it. And then the next day I was like, oh, I wonder what other races would be really challenging and difficult to do. And I was always interested in races that I wasn't sure if I could finish. So the race that became a big obsession of mine was the Tour de Geants, which is 200 miler in Italy.
And you came second in that, right?
Yeah, I was fortunate enough to come in second. A lot of things went right, and it was an unbelievable journey. It takes a long time. I think I did it in about 78 hours or so. So that was a massive challenge. And then, like I said, it was so interesting to me because I didn't know if I could actually finish. Like I would have never pictured that I could run for 200 miles when I couldn't even run for a mile when I started.
Wow, it's incredible. Massive gains there. One of the other races that you've done recently that you did well in, the Dragon's Back.
Yes.
So you won that last year. Now I've looked at some video of that, and that looks pretty epic. Like there's the let me see if I can say this right, Crib Gotch section.
I can't say that. Yeah, I don't try because all my new Welsh friends from the race will say it, and I'm like, I actually can't pronounce that.
Just tell us about that, because some people might not have seen the video. I mean, like the kind of terrain you were running on and how that was.
Yeah, absolutely. So throughout especially the northern part of Wales, it's quite rocky, bouldery, and there's some exposed sections. And people had mentioned Crib Goch a bunch leading up to the race and how scary it was and technical. And for some reason, I had thought I had actually run. I'd already gone on this ridge. I'm like, yeah, it's not so bad from memory. So when I got there, I went up, and then there's a lot of first aid crew with their helmets and climbing gear on. And I was like, wow, what are we getting into here? This is crazy. And then I just kept climbing. The clouds were all around me, so I couldn't see just how exposed it was and how scary it was. So you climb up a rock face. It's not too technical, and there's tons of easy holes. So you are using all fours to get up. And then I got up to the ridge. So it's just a knife edge, and it runs along up to Snowdon. So I get up there, and the clouds cleared, and I was standing up there on the knife edge. And for me, I don't do climbing or high mountaineer or anything. So I was absolutely petrified. I looked down, I was like, oh my gosh. So I get back on all fours, even though I didn't really need to at the moment. So I was going along and just slowly making my way across, and it was absolutely frightening because at least it felt like there's a sheer drop on your right, and on your left it's a very steep drop where if you trip or fall, you're not going to stop until you get to the bottom.
I get a bit dizzy just watching those things on YouTube. I mean, if maybe after the broadcast, I'll just put a link to the video so people can check it out and maybe put it on the bucket list if they fancy having a go. So what's the favorite? What's your favorite kind of ultra race that you've done so far? Do you think?
I think my favorite, I have to say, Tour de Geants. I've been back 3 times now. When I first did it, I'm like, this is 200 miles. It's going to be outrageous. How difficult it's going to be, and it was. But when I finished, it was the same feeling. Where like, wow, I want to go back and try it again. Everything about that race is spectacular. It runs around a loop. So you start in a town called Cormeria in Italy, in Usta Valley, and you just run around this loop, which is 200 miles, and it just goes up and down mountains constantly. I think there's something like 26 mountain passes that you have to climb.
Wow.
So yeah, it's up and down. There's almost no flat. So looking back on it, it's like there's so many things, given the length of time that you're racing for is so long, that you can look back and try and improve. So the first time I did it in about 84 hours, I think. And so looking back, I'm like, oh, I could improve this, like sleep strategy, nutrition strategy. There's so many different things that go into a race that length versus even just a 100-miler. So that was back the second year. And just learning all these things, I was able to shave about 10 hours off my time. So that in itself, I found super fascinating. As well, every time you're running through these little towns, these little beautiful Italian towns, little kids will come out and just cheer you on, and they're so excited that you're there doing their race. And so the atmosphere is spectacular.
Looks amazing, that landscape.
They're unbelievable.
So just something I wanted to ask you, and I think it's come up in our questions as well. Octavian Andrei Ivanov has asked us as well about your nutrition. I know that trail runners sometimes have some really interesting things. One of my friends takes like little, the potato faces in her pocket. Like I know people that take burritos and pizzas. What's your favorite sort of nutrition strategy?
So it changes per race. So if it's a short race, a short race for me is about under 10 to 12 hours, I'll keep it mainly liquid carbs. So anything like Montane or CIS Go, sort of those drinks where you mix in and it's about 40 carbs per 500 mils. And then gels and stuff that's soft, because when I'm racing a little bit faster, I find it hard to digest hard food, like real food. So, but then when the races get longer, like the Tour de Géant and into 70 hours, I have a totally different nutrition strategy where the lows are so low in the valleys, they can go down to 300 meters, and then you're going up to 3,300 meters. So the difference is massive, and maybe it's me, but my body doesn't do very well with that difference for eating. So when I'm low, I'll actually eat hard food, and that is peanut butter and jelly sandwiches. So that's my go-to. And gluten-free bread. So apart from, I actually have to have gluten-free stuff or my stomach gets too upset to race. But the gluten-free bread actually breaks down with the jelly, and so it becomes kind of like this ball of mush. So you can manage it without getting too sticky. It's actually, it's great. It's perfect. So I'll eat peanut butter and jelly sandwiches in the valleys, and then I'll have sort of liquid nutrition near the tops of the peaks of the mountains.
Yeah, very nice. Nothing too weird about that, apart from the mushy ball of.
Yeah, it gets pretty disgusting too if I forget about one that's been in my pack for like 5 hours, and then it starts seeping out. I've had that. That's also not a great thing for your pack.
Oh God, yeah, I bet. Just about sort of other races as well. Do you have any like races on your bucket list? Like I know one of the ones that a lot of people talk about is the Barkley. Would that ever be a thing for you or a goal?
Well, the Barkley, it's really interesting because I think the biggest point of interest for me is that hardly anyone finishes it. And I do think it's something that my sort of skill set, where I find that I'm actually not a very skilled runner, but I can just suffer a lot, would come into play. So
that's important.
Yeah, I think so. That's really important. So that's fascinating, but then it just never has lined up. And I just love the feel and the atmosphere of UK races, and then on the continent as well, those kind of races where people are really passionate about it. And there's huge crowds and like big fields of runners, which I also love running in big fields of runners. So it just has never fit in, but I think it's on there. I always think about it, but it just never makes it into the race calendar. So maybe one day, but not next year, probably. So I also don't know how to get in. No one's ever told me how to apply, because that's also apparently a secret.
It's a mystery, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. So.
Just to remind people, by the way, if you're just tuning in now, we are running a competition. So if you have any burning questions for Galen about ultra running, any of the races he's done, your ultra running or trail running, anything like that, all questions, all comments today go into a draw, and you can win a Montane Minimus stretch ultra jacket, which is pretty awesome. I'm assuming you've got one, Galen?
I do. It was my very first jacket I've ever had when running. So the first one I had lasted me for about 6 years until luckily I teamed up with Montane and then was able to upgrade. And the only damage I ever took on it was I ripped a bit of the sleeve here, and it was because I tumbled over a barbed wire fence, and then obviously it was caught in the barbed wire fence. So it's been great, and it's an excellent piece of kit, very light and extremely durable.
Yeah, excellent. So get your comments in, get your questions for Galen, and you could win one yourself, and that would be awesome. So so we'll go on some questions, because I can see they're building up. And
I read some of the questions. That's why I
am. So let's go with Andrew Hubert. Hello, Andrew. So you want to know what training for Tour de... I can't say that word. How do you say it?
I think it's called
Géants. Right, okay. I'll try and remember that. I want to know what training for Tour de Géants as opposed to a 100-mile mountainous ultra. So is there, would there be a difference in the approach that you would take for those two kinds of races?
Yeah, there isn't much difference, because in the 100 miles, especially if it's say like the Lakeland 100, which is pretty runnable. Even UTMB is fairly runnable, definitely in sections. I'll take out speed work when it gets closer to the race, and I actually increase my just long endurance runs quite a bit. But then I think the biggest change, I'll do back-to-backs, really long days. So I'll do about 9 hours in the mountains one day, followed by another 9-hour day the next day. And just having that, although cardio-wise, I'm sure there's not too much benefit really, but it's just getting the muscles used to absolutely like having the pounding on the muscles for that long and just running for that length. And even just mentally getting over the hurdle of, yes, I can keep running after this much pounding in hours on the legs.
Okay. How long is that Tour de Geants?
It's 200 miles, so 330K about.
Okay, significantly more than. Okay, cool. So Megan Claridge wants to know tips for beginners for marathons, hoping to do an ultra marathon in a few years. Is that a realistic goal? What would you advise?
Absolutely. I think really it's just about the time you have to give, because obviously there's a lot of training. I think that's totally realistic. If she's leading up to a marathon, so she'll have her marathon training plan. And I think really if the goal is to complete, you can increase the length of your long run and keep everything else fairly the same. You make closer to the ultra marathon, you can take out the speed and replace that with a little bit longer runs during the weekend, and including the long run, say on the weekend or whatever that does fall.
Great advice. Now this has been intriguing me as well. So we've got a Michael Taylor. So hello, Michael. So he wants to know about your goat t-shirt. I don't know about this goat t-shirt, so you've got to tell me. And he wants to know where the goat trophy is. Oh, this is the Cheviot goat, isn't it?
Yeah,
this
that's
is
right.
Another race that you won last year.
Yeah, that is an incredible race. And hi, Michael. Hope you're well. So the whole idea of the race is that this is in such barren terrain and in the middle of winter, where only this goat can survive. All the other livestock kind of get taken in. And it's a race that goes through unbelievable bogs. And the bogs are so bad, I didn't realize bogs like this actually existed. Where I was running with another runner, actually, with John Kelly, who's the finisher of the Barclays. He was running right in front of me, and he went about like up to here in mud, and I couldn't stop because the rocks were slippery. And then I just piled on top of him and like just absolutely crushed him further into the bog. So yeah, it was a fascinating race, and that's exactly what is typical of that terrain.
Yeah. So where's the trophy? Is it a good trophy?
The trophy is in quarantine. Actually, it's in I'm out with family out in the countryside, so it's in our flat in London.
Oh, okay. Oh, so we can't see it. Is it a good one?
Yeah, it's a great one. It's one of my favorite. It's glass. It's about this tall, and it has the goat on it and says first place male and stuff. So.
Oh, wonderful.
Yeah.
I'll have to look that one up. Oh, hello, James. So our videographer. Hopefully I'm not letting him down with my lighting setup and everything. He is watching us today, and he wants to know your favorite pre-ultra meal.
Yeah, so my favorite pre-ultra meal, actually, it doesn't matter what time the race starts, because I've had races start at midnight, 6 p.m., noon, and then right early in the morning at 4:30. So 2 hours before the race, I'll always have brown rice, which might not be very appealing to most people. Have brown rice and then a little bit of peanut butter on, gluten-free toast or something. So it's pretty really basic, just carbs and nothing fancy.
Yeah, super. I'm just reading a question, and I'm just trying to. It's quite a long question. So. Okay, so Matt Westcott. Hi, Matt. Thanks for joining us today. So Matt is actually a cyclist who's turned runner during lockdown, and he's done 25 5Ks in 25 days. That's pretty impressive, Matt. Well done on that.
That's great.
especially as you're not a runner, that's pretty cool. So he's got his time down to 28 minutes, which I think is pretty good. He says he's no Mo Farah, but he wants to know how to keep running. So he's got aching calves. He wants to know if he should push through the pain or just take it easier.
Oof, yeah, that's a tough one. And if I tell you something and it goes badly, that's not going to be great. But I think it totally depends on what the pain is. It's like, so how I always feel, if it's joint issues, I will not run through that. If it's knee or maybe even ankle, I won't run through that. But if it's any muscle, like the quads, the calves, because you've been going up and going down so much, that are absolutely trash and they feel unbelievably painful, I'll try and put that aside and keep going. That's my basic rule of thumb, and I just totally made that up. So
yeah, absolutely. So take it with a pinch of salt, Matt. I think the best thing to do is just to do what's best for you, right? Like, just
if it's running day after day and it's getting worse, then I would take it easy. I'd pop on the bike turbo or just switch it up. So I would easy just to get it healed, because then you can also train. You could go max in your training schedule. So if you're supposed to be doing intervals, you wouldn't be able to do that if you have an injury. So getting healed can sometimes be the best for the future for your races coming up.
Yeah. And you're kind of doing sort of the other way around to what Matt's doing, aren't you? So you're a runner, but you've been doing some Zwifting recently.
Yeah, Zwifting. So I always do it in the off season. So usually the big races of the running season end in August, September. And then I'll take some time off running totally and come back and just do biking. And I find it's so much easier on the body, so I can get back into it. And then it's just fun to change sports a little bit, to get even a mental break from running. There's that in the off season. And then usually to build up training hours, I'll do running, but then I'll also do a lot of biking, just so I can get more training hours without the impact on the body and having issues with recovery and stuff like that.
And tell us about what you were doing yesterday on Zwift, because that was quite impressive.
Yesterday on Zwift, I really like the Zwift badges, which are just little gamification rewards through Zwift. So I did the full PRL, which is about 105 miles or so. It took me 5 hours on the bike, and it was really challenging, but I had an absolutely great time on doing it. So it was well worth it.
A long time to be on Zwift, gotta say, kudos. Okay, we've got a question from Michael Taylor. So Michael wants to know what shoes you prefer for technical terrain runs.
Best shoes, sorry?
Best shoes.
So I've tried a lot of different shoes, and I think what's currently working for me, because I actually have a really strange foot shape. It's really fat foot. It doesn't fit into many shoes. I use Ultras, and I'm using the Ultra Timp 2.0 right now. But I will say it's great in almost every condition, but it gets really slippery when it's wet outside. And for that, I'll actually switch to the Olympus, the Ultra Olympus, because Ultra is actually one of the only shoes that I can fit my foot in. I'll switch to the Olympus, which has Gore-Tex, Gore-Tex soles, I think it is, and that way, Vibram soles, and they actually are much stickier in the wet. So I'm careful of what condition it is, particularly in races, for what shoe choice I have.
Okay, great. I've got a really good question here from David Hegarty, and I guess this might answer Simon Dunlevy's question as well. And they both want to know about sort of the mental challenges during the race. So you can prepare your physical fitness for 100 miles plus, but the mental battle, when you sort of, you might get to a certain point and you're feeling a bit down, how do you just push through that and carry on through the race?
So I practice that a lot, as much as I can try and practice that. It's an unbelievable factor, especially in the longer races, where, like I mentioned, I'm not a very skilled runner, but I think I can push through more than the guys who are much better runners than I am. The race gets longer, I relatively do better in the race. So to push through, I'll use anything. I'll use music. I'll use anything external, like crowds, even if they're cheering for someone else, I'll pretend it's for me. Other runners as motivation, like, oh, that guy's catching me, or I need to catch that person. As well as think back on times that I've had that were really difficult during races, and I've pushed through those, so I can do it again. Think about that. And even thinking about like, oh, people have it. Like, I'm so lucky that I'm able to run and be able to be in the mountains, or even just during a long run, and it's becoming difficult. It's like, oh, why am I doing this? I just want to stop and walk. And knowing that that's always going to happen is also a big factor. But sorry, back to the point where being lucky enough to be able to do this is reward on itself. So I try and tell myself, hey, I'm lucky I'm here. Yes, I'm inflicting a lot of pain and it hurts and I kind of want to stop, but I'm lucky enough that I'm fortunate enough to be able to do this.
Mm-hmm. So, amazing.
And there's no easy answer. It hurts. Yeah. It is really awful at times, but knowing that you can do it and just put one foot in front of the other, that's how I get through it.
Top motivational music?
So I have a big playlist that is really random. It's got a lot of different stuff. So the top motivational music I use is things that remind me of events throughout my life. So there's a lot of Disney on there. There's just random songs that you're like, what Disney? It doesn't make any sense. So times like that I've had great parties, even that there was a certain song that played, I'll have that on my playlist. So just anything to get me out of the current state I'm in. It will remind me, oh yeah, that was a great time with my friends out partying and we did blah, blah, blah. So things that will take me away from where I am, anything that will do that will be the music of choice. And I'm constantly flipping through, like when I'm running, like, no, this, okay, yeah, this one's working better.
Rodrigo Santos fully approves of your peanut butter jelly, by the way. He's a cool fan, not alone there, which is pretty cool. We've got another question about the Cheviot goat as well, about the weather conditions. What did you think about it this year, about the weather?
So, the weather conditions, just as a bit of background, I think there was one year that it was extremely wet. There was one year that it was snowing, and this year was the windy year. And so it got extremely windy. We had to run the course in reverse because of the weather. But I will say that I was extremely lucky because when the winds really picked up, I had actually finished. So the people that were worst were the people who were finishing later on. So for me, I think the winds were strong enough though that you're running and you're kind of leaning the whole time trying to run straight to stand up. So it was awful. And I think the worst part was the wind chill. So any part of the body that was exposed got extremely cold because it's raining. It was extremely windy, and I think the temperature maybe was about 5 or 6, which isn't the worst. But with the strength of the wind, it was pretty tough.
Mm-hmm. Okay. There's a question that I better answer because it's one of my seniors at work, Sarah Payne. Hello, Sarah. Thank you for tuning in. So what Sarah's asking is, how do you make the leap from being a runner at the 10K/marathon level to arriving on the start line of an ultra? Because it feels like such a huge leap, both physically and mentally.
Well, it is. It is a huge leap, and I think you can take it in chunks. So that's what I did. I did 10K, half marathon, and then marathon. Well, I went to a 50-miler, 60-miler. And then to 100. But so there's the build up you could do like that. But I think it's increasing the long runs, the long run that I'll do weekly. I actually never get longer than 30 miles in a long run, but I did increase it from when I was doing, say, the half marathon to the marathon, and then on to the ultra. So there's that increase. And then, but mentally, it's something that I still work on. It's just so difficult to be able to break down. So say take the Tour de Géants, which is 200 miles. It's like, how do you get your head around running 200 miles and you're going to be out there for 80 hours or whatnot. So what I do is I get a huge sheet and I'll break the race down into bits. So it's like, get to that mountain pass, get to that refugio, get to that valley, and I'll have the times for each section. I even do this for 50-mile races, whatever race I'm in. And so all I think about is getting to that point at this time, and that's it. I don't think about how much longer it's going to take and like, wow, this is never ending. So I just break it down massively and just take it one section at a time and just keep going. So
yeah. She's added another comment as well, just saying she loves the views and the varied terrain, but she just feels slow and clumsy. I know she's not slow, actually. She's actually a pretty competent runner, so don't worry, Sarah. But she just wants to know about how to change that mindset, how to stop being worried about being like you said yourself, actually, you don't think you're a particularly good runner.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, how do you kind of just change that mindset and just focus?
The way I've thought about it is for technicality and running down trails and which is something that I've actually been able to get much better at is practice, obviously, but then I've fallen a lot. Like I've fallen and it's been bad and but knowing that that you have fallen and it's okay, it's not going to be too bad. So knowing that happens, then you're going to get over it and you're likely going to live through it. Means that you lose a little bit of the fear, getting comfortable with it. And then, sorry, what was the second part of the question?
It's just about feeling sort of slow and clunky, and just kind of moving away from that and just changing your mindset. That's the question.
Right. Okay. So feeling slow, especially if you're, I think, a road runner coming to long distance trail. People are like, oh my gosh, my splits are awful, and I can't believe how slow I'm going. But if you can pace properly and go slower, you'll actually see improvement compared to the rest of the field. So everyone in a trail ultra marathon is going to be slow and clunky at the end, no matter how experienced or great a trail runner they are. And another thing that I moved away from is I no longer do sort of distance training. I'll do hours. So it's how many hours am I going to go run for? And that takes the pressure off me, at least for, I got to hit 7 miles in an hour or whatnot. So it removes the pacing issue and removes kind of I just feel like I'm plodding along here. And also knowing that plodding along is really great training for these long runs, because that's literally what we'll be doing. So it is tough. I think it's just getting used to it and seeing the pros at the end of the races. Except if you're looking at UTMB where they come down the final chute, they're running amazingly. But if you look at them just before that, when no one else is watching them, they're plodding along. So everyone does, then just knowing that everyone does it, I think helps a lot.
Yeah. So a bit tortoise and hare, maybe.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
I think the main thing is probably just to enjoy it, right, as well.
Definitely, yeah. And then the benefits of plodding along are you get to take in the views more. You can talk to other people, talk to other runners, and that is massively, and it helps the miles pass really quickly. So it's huge.
Okay, I have some more questions. We'll maybe go for. Are you okay to go for maybe another 10 minutes?
Yeah, for sure.
I'm just giving some warning to. I've got somebody watching the comments as well, so that we can pick a winner. So if you want to get your comments, questions in to win that Montane jacket, you need to do so in the next 10 minutes, because we will be closing that competition at in 10 minutes time. Okay, so let's pick another question. So Amy Blackmore, she wants to know about recovery. So she's increasing her running, and she just needs some good recovery tips. What's your kind of recovery routine like?
So I have two recovery things I think about, particularly after long races, is mental recovery, where I really just can't think about running or training or anything, and it's really difficult to even get out there for a run, and I just have no motivation, and it's super difficult. So I know that now, so I actually will schedule in time where I won't go for a run, won't go for a bike, and then when I come back from it mentally, I'll get on the bike first to be able to do that. So that's mentally how I kind of handle it. But physically, the bike is also excellent because it moves the muscles around. There's no more, you've kind of taken the weight off of pounding the legs and stuff. So the bike movement is great. And then I'll just, will just unfocus from running and just do everything else in life that's kind of gotten behind because of the big focus, especially leading up to one of the big races. So I'll try and get a lot of sleep, which is a little bit more difficult now with my little one. I'll try and get as much sleep as I can. Eat healthy, but I'll also let go a little bit, and I'll eat rubbish as well, which probably doesn't help.
Favorite bad treat?
What's that, sorry?
What's your favorite bad treat? Like your favorite rubbish treat?
Probably ice cream. I eat a lot of ice cream after races.
Very nice. So, do you have like sort of like do you do any sort of stretching, like yoga or anything like that? Like,
it's actually one thing that a lot of the guys, my running friends, give me a hard time about. I never do strength training, and I never stretch.
Oh wow!
I wouldn't recommend that for anyone. But I heard a great quote saying, like, I don't have as much time in the world to train as I would like, because I do have a job and kids. And if I've got time to do either of those, I might as well be running or biking. So that's what I do. So I put all the focus on running and biking.
Yeah. Okay, just choosing another question. Just going back to the Tour de Géant, because we've got a question from Brandon Gore, and he wants you to talk about getting second place in 2018, because it was such a close finish with Franco Collet. I am rubbish at pronouncing anything that isn't English, I'm afraid. So it was so close, and back then you were like sort of relatively new on the scene. Can you talk about how that felt?
That was it was one of the most bizarre moments I've ever had in any sport, because so I'll pick it up from about the 70th hour. So we've been 70 hours into the race. I've slept for about 50 minutes. And so I'm not actually thinking correctly, and it's hard to tell what's a dream and not a dream and what I'm hallucinating and what's real. And I get to the final mountain pass, hut, and the refugio. And the guys tell me, Franco Collet is right there. He's like right in front of you. You can go and you can chase him. He's not doing very well. And I'm just thinking to myself, like, I feel awful right now. There's no chance. I'm just trying to finish now. Get over this mountain pass and then run all the way down into Courmayeur. So they give me a huge plate of polenta. So I eat this polenta, and then I'm actually feeling a little bit better. And they're just talking me up and making me feel great about myself. And I'm like, wow, this is a great cheerleading team. So they keep telling me where Franco Collet is. The one problem is, I don't know if it's these guys particularly, but I have heard that maybe sometimes in the culture, they like to tell you that someone's a lot closer than they actually are, so that they get a dramatic finish. So what happened was, Franco Collet wasn't actually that close to me, but they told me he was really close. So then I started running really hard, and I go over this mountain pass to try and find him, and I'm constantly looking for him because they keep telling me, oh, he's like 5 minutes ahead. I'm like, but I should be able to see him if he's 5 minutes ahead. So I kept running, and I ran hard, and like the blisters on my feet are just like screaming, and my legs have never hurt more as I'm running downhill, sprinting, which would look like a shuffle, but I felt like I was sprinting at full speed. And people kept telling me, he's right there, he's right there, he's right there. And I ran as hard as I possibly could, up to a point where I got to the very last refugio, which is about 4K to the finish line. It's all downhill. And they're like, what? Like, wow, you're going really hard. I'm like, yeah, I'm trying to catch Franco Collet. Like, oh, he's already finished. And I was like, oh no. So it was all the locals encouraging me to run faster to try and catch the guy who's in first. But at one point, I think he was about 6 hours ahead of me, and I closed the gap to 25 minutes right before the finish. But it was all for naught because he did finish first.
Awesome. Just a reminder, our competition is closing in 5 minutes. So I've got someone monitoring the comments. So if you want to get into that draw, just leave us a comment. I think I'm just going to do a few more questions now. So don't worry about questions, but do feel free to comment to enter that draw. 5 minutes to go. Okay, so Benjamin Hoist, I don't... Is that someone that's known to you? Because he wants to know how you avoid arriving late at the podium. Is there a story to that?
Yeah, there is. I arrived to the podium late last year to the Tour de Géant, and I felt bad. But my kids were losing their minds when I was trying to get them into the car and then drive to the place where the awards were happening. So thank you, Benjamin, for bringing that up again. And so, yeah, like my kids were losing. So I think the moral of the story is you probably have to leave more time, especially if you have kids who like to lose it.
Well, just throwing a tantrum, or
yeah, they're both throwing a tantrum as I was trying to get them in the car seats. Yeah, and then I felt like it was so embarrassing. I had showed up, and then they like tried to redo the whole podium thing, and it was embarrassing.
Yeah. Oh my goodness, sounds like a nightmare. But you got there in the end, right?
Yeah, got there in the end, and did get the trophy. So.
So I'm just gonna pick some more questions. So Graham Jocelyn wants to know about progressing from marathons to ultras and what recommendations you have regarding changing your pace for the extra endurance required, and the difference in weekly training volumes as well. And there's been actually a few questions about training volumes. So can you just talk us through that?
Okay, sure. So I think I did see one question go by saying, what's the typical week? So I can throw that in there as well.
Yeah.
So a typical week, sort of building up to the C races, which come at the beginning of the year, is about 12 to 15 hours. And then leading up to an A race, which is like the Tour de Géant, it will get up to about 25 to 30 hours of running and biking. But progressing from sort of a marathon to an ultra, I would say it would be increasing that long run, like I did mention, and increasing the time length. So I think looking at the time versus the distance. So if you're doing a 20-mile long run at the weekend or whatever day, instead of going 25 miles, just take it in terms of time. So if it's 2 hours, 3 hours, or go from 2 to 3 hours, and then pace it, I would pace it so that I'm still running by the end of the third hour, and go way slower than you think you need to go at the beginning, and just make sure you finish it. And if you're like, oh, at the end of 3 hours, which would be unlikely, that you still have energy, you can up the pace the next week or the next time you do a long run.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry, I think I'm missing one there.
Sorry?
I think I'm missing part of the question. It was increasing it.
About how to pace yourself.
How to pace yourself. So take a 2 hour long run, which is, for when I first started, I couldn't even run a mile. So like a 2 hour long run at the beginning, I couldn't even contemplate. And so I would go out there and I'd take my pace like way off, like 2 minutes per mile off what I could do an hour run. And I just like slowly shuffle around and just get the 2 hours done, way below what I likely could in the perfect world do. And then just increase it as I became more comfortable with the distance and the speed as well.
Yeah. Awesome. I hope that answers your question then, Graham. Okay, so we'll announce the competition winner just in a couple of minutes. Shall we just go for another question and then do the competition winner? Yeah? Okay. Now let's find a nice one to end with. So I think I'd like to know as well, actually. So Stephen Sidbold says, who's your biggest inspiration in the ultra running world?
Biggest inspiration, well, coming into the sport, which was about 2012, I would watch all these YouTubes of Jez Breck, and he at the time had just won UTMB and I think he was the biggest sort of ultra runner from the UK at the time. And he was just legendary. And I remember I'd read every blog that he had or article and watch all the YouTubes on him. And I just was so amazed at the stuff he did, because he actually went on to do really amazing stuff, running across, I think, one of the islands of New Zealand. And he as well did the Tour de Géant. And I had a bit of a surreal experience because I lined up at the 2018 Tour de Géant and he was next to me. And I was like, oh my gosh. Yeah. Hi, Jez.
Oh my goodness. So did he live up to expectations?
No, he let me go by him. So no, but he did finish. He's still epic, and he had a young one, so I think his training wasn't quite on point for the tour.
Yeah. Amazing. This is the cool thing about the ultra scene, though, isn't it? Like you do, awesome. It's quite close knit, isn't it? So you do get to meet your heroes.
Yeah, definitely. And like you can just walk up to anyone and pretty much talk to them. Everyone are extremely down to earth. And we're all running the same thing, doing the same thing, so you can relate exactly this course and whatnot. So yeah, it's an excellent community.
Yeah, amazing. Okay, I think I'm going to call it on the questions because you've been amazing and I've really enjoyed talking to you. And I think judging by the number of comments and questions and people watching today, I think everyone's really, really appreciated the chat today. So thank you so much for joining us. But we do have a competition winner to announce. So I'm going to try and do a drum roll. So the winner is Brandon Gore. So Brandon, we will be in touch with you very soon and we will be taking your size requirements and getting you that Montane Minimus Stretch Ultra Jacket out. So I hope you get some decent wear out of it. Feel free to take a pic and send it to us. And congratulations. But yes, I think we're going to leave it there now. So thank you everyone so much for joining us. And we hope to have some more guests lined up in the future for you. And thanks again, Galen.
And if this chat is still open, I know there's a bunch of questions I can quickly type out answers to and whatnot if that exists.
Yeah, thank you so much. That would be absolutely great. And just so everyone knows as well, if you want to tell your friends, if you found this chat useful, it will still be on our Facebook page. So you can come back to it, tell your friends about it, and that would be great. Okay, thanks a lot then, everyone. Bye-bye.
Thanks a lot.